Hello, conscious mothers. It's Honor here. I'm excited to be with you this morning. Today we have an awesome workshop queued up. So come and join me. Say hi when you're here, and let me know if the sound is good. If all's good, then we'll dive in. Hi, hi, hi. Hi, ladies. Hi, mamas. Welcome to all, everybody who's new here, who's coming in for this workshop. I'm so happy to be sharing with you something that's really going to help you. Awesome. Hi, Lori. Listening while working. So glad you're here. So, are you guys coming on? Are you joining in? So when you come on and you watch, click on the video so that you're officially joined. That way you can comment. I'm just going to give this a couple minutes. We're going to be talking about the problem of not knowing how or being able to. It's more like I'm not able to. I have a distant memory of being able to sit down and put my feet up. But since motherhood, I just can't wind down. I just can't relax. And so today we're talking about all of that doing energy and the spiraling that it creates and how to really break that cycle. The thing that I am really good at helping moms to break out of is that cycle of overwhelm and the anxiety that's kind of brewing there all the time, waiting to boil over. We can get out of that and into whatever vision is on our hearts to create. It's a little different for everyone, but most of us want the same things. Most of us want to feel relaxed enough in our everyday, not just on vacation, which also isn't very relaxing if you have forgotten how to slow down, but knowing how to pace ourselves so that we can be successful in all areas of our lives, not just at work or not just in our partnership, but how can we truly have success in every aspect of who we are as a mom to a spirited kid, as a co-parent, as a partner, as a business owner, or as an employee, whatever your roles are as a boss. What we're all wanting is to not feel like we're failing in any or many areas, right? And if you can't relax and slow down, you're going to struggle with these. So yesterday I came on and shared a bit with you about here's how it feels if you have this problem. So go back and watch that if you haven't after this. I'm not going to go through all of that again, but I'm going to start with let's look at what it feels like to be stuck, and then we'll move on from there. So I hear women say all the time, I'm just going from A to B to C, and I never really have, in the end, at the end of the day or in the end of whatever, I feel exhausted. I feel empty. I feel worried that I'm going to really hit the wall and have a health crisis. And I'm living in this suspended state of stress. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Let's dive in to the problem as it sounds. So I'll hear people say, I don't know how to let go. I cannot relax and let go, or I can't slow down. If I slow down, everything's going to fall apart, right? Or I have too much to do. So we'll put it on conditions and we'll say, I've got too much to do to slow down and rest. I just can't do it. Have you heard yourself say those words? If I relax, then it will create more work later. Have you ever thought this or said it or shared that with another mom who totally validates you and says, oh yeah, totally, I get it. You can't slow down and relax because that will create more work later, which just isn't really true. So when was the last time that you felt deeply relaxed in your normal life? And I want you to drop this in the comments. When was the last time that you felt deeply relaxed, which what that means to feel deeply relaxed is to feel at rest, to feel satisfied or at ease. And might look a little different for you. It might look like excitement or energized or in flow, creating mode, or sometimes being really relaxed. Looks more like resting with your feet up, just really resting, guilt-free, resentment-free, worry-free rest. You're giving yourself full permission. That's what rest and relaxation looks like. It actually recharges you. So you feel a fullness in doing this rather than it draining you, which can also happen when you are not dialed into the proper kind of rest and relaxation. Okay, are you with me? So when did you last feel relaxed? Think about it, drop it in the comments. And here's kind of how it might feel for you. So there's always too much going on. It's never ending. I've created this life and now I can't keep it up. So it's overwhelming. And this is what puts you on the brink of overwhelm. And you see it as conditional, right? You see it as circumstantial. That's how our brains work. We categorize things. And then we feel like we're the victim of our circumstance. It's overwhelming. I've created all of this and now I can't slow it down. So there's no real sense of accomplishment and fulfillment. Your thoughts are probably in the habit of racing, so you can't shut your mind off or your brain off. You're always trying to figure things out. You're trying to figure out the problem. But guess what? If you've noticed, you never truly solve anything. That there's, if you fix one thing, then another thing of equal amount of worry and stress pops up. It's like whack-a-mole. You think, you analyze, you fix one thing. Oh, good, got it, check the box. But you're still running all that worry in your vibration. You're not knowing how to slow down and relax. So other worries will just manifest. They'll pop up. You're on edge a lot. You feel on edge in your body. Your jaw is tight, your shoulders are up, and this makes you feel exhausted. So just running on empty. Probably feeling, I know when there was a time in my life, I'm describing myself very much at a time when I was not plugged in, I was not connected in, I didn't know how to slow down and relax. And the way that left me feeling, just vibing off of everyone else's energy, picking up everyone else's stuff all the time, was like a shell. That's the best way I can describe it. I was saying this to clients recently. Like, I felt hollow. I would start the day feeling good, but the way that I moved through the day and my level of disconnect, or the way I was just my main mode of functioning, was not serving me or others to the highest. It really was I was working on kind of old system and draining a lot of energy. And in the end, I would feel really hollow. I would feel empty. I would feel like a shell. And this is not a way that enables us to show up and be fruitful in motherhood or fruitful in our work and be moms after a long work day. So if you're here, then you know this already. There's a sense that you're always giving energy away, but you're never able to truly fill up or create that sense of fulfillment. Or if you do, it quickly drains. It empties out. So you're stuck in the repeating pattern. So we tell ourselves things like, but I can't slow down because I'll drop the ball. Or here's a big one. Moms don't get a day off. Moms don't get to relax. Just feel how that feels. So say it with me. Say it to yourself. You're going to feel it in your body. It hits me right in the solar plexus in the stomach as a big fat lie, because I've done a lot of work in this area. It's just not true. We get to relax. Nobody's punishing us. Nobody's tying our hands behind our back or holding a gun to our head and saying, you've got to do this and you've got to be exhausted. We choose it all. We're deciding, if there's any one message today, this is it. We're creating our reality. And the piece we need help with is uncovering what we actually want, which is not this. If you're suffering in anxiety, in overwhelm, uncovering what it really is that you don't want any more of, and then learning what you can have. And then it's how to get there, working with someone to learn the how. So moms don't get to relax. Just say it to yourself. Feel it. Feels like poop. Where in your body do you feel that? Moms don't get to relax. We don't get to do that, right? That's a real voice of powerlessness, of victimhood. So we tell ourselves this, and I'm going to drop a truth bomb here. We say these words and we validate them when other mothers say them because we need to make sense of how we feel. And this is, again, how the brain works. We want to make sense of how we feel because we know it sucks. And we need to categorize that so we can keep on keeping on. We know we love our kids. That's not in question. We know that we want to stick around for them. We know that we'll do anything, even to the point of killing ourselves to do it. And I don't say that with exaggerated meaning. I mean, mothers are driving themselves into the ground, we're compromising our health. We're compromising our quality of life. We're compromising income we could be making. We're compromising our love for ourselves. And we're trying to wrap our heads around, why is it so hard? And wasting a lot of energy there. So we tell ourselves a story like moms don't get to relax, which is not the highest truth. And here's why we do it, because we have to justify how we feel. If we don't know how to change our state of being, our thoughts, our feelings, our mental health state, our physiology, if we don't know how to change that for better, which none of us know that by ourselves, we have to get expert help to do that. When we don't know how to change what's going on with us and fix the problem, then our mind will reach for a story to make sense of what's happening. Does this make sense? So we are trying to justify how rotten we feel. We're justifying the stress and the anxiety and the exhaustion. Okay. Now, I want to make sure, you'll hear this through your filters, and that is the way that our brains work. But I want to say for the record that we are not to blame for this, and no one else is to blame for this either. Our partners aren't to blame. Society isn't to blame. Our mothers aren't to blame. I really want to fully own this message as I give it, to say, I have struggled deeply with this, and to be as vulnerable with you as I can be about it, that I was deep in the trenches of feeling that it just is hard. It just is sacrifice to deeper depths, to the point where I really thought I might die. My husband took me by the shoulders and shook me and said, I'm afraid you're going to walk in front of a bus because you're so checked out, because you're so deep in sacrificing your health and all of who you are for our kids at a certain time who needed a lot of help. I had no boundaries about where I was giving and how much I was giving. I was completely giving to the point of exhaustion and depletion. And I was lucky. I was lucky that my blood work came back clean. I was lucky that I had the support system to access and the expert help to access, and the tools and skills that were already in existence, but I still needed a lot of hand holding to come out of that place and really see what was the truth, and really have the courage to recognize this is not serving my family. For me to be at a point where I could walk in front of a bus, I'm so checked out, I'm so spaced out, I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted, I'm so sad all the time, was not for the highest good of my kids, who I told myself I was doing all of this for. So can you see how we get into a corner with our mind making sense of and stories about why it's so hard to be where we are? And in the end, it doesn't serve us. It robs our kids of the joy of being with a healthy mom. It robs us of quality of life, of health, of healthy partnership, of ownership of our own joy. So tell me if this is making sense. Really wanting to share with you where this teaching comes from and how vital it is for you, for those of you who are ready to hear it. When we don't listen, we stay in a constant state of virtual on the edge of panic, virtual overwhelm. We're jittery, we're anxious, we feel like a raw nerve, an exposed nerve. We're venting or text bombing our partners all day long about how hard it is and how many things aren't working, and we truly believe it. that we have no choice about it. And we do have all the choice in the world about whether we accept that as our daily life or not, rather than staying feeling like crap or guilty or in a vicious cycle about how hard it is that we can't wind down, we can't relax. So we're up all night, we're waking up at 3 in the morning, we're in a hot panic and sweats or cold sweats about, I may not be here to see my kids graduate from high school, or I might be so ill at that point that I can't even imagine meeting my grandkids one day. And I'm on the phone with women every week who have these thoughts. So it's not like I'm being dramatic or reaching far. I'm just naming exactly what you tell me. And I know from my heart of hearts because I've been there too. And we want to be able to recognize how we are allowing, tolerating, or perpetuating, where we're perpetuating and contributing to our daily life, not so that we can beat ourselves up about it. Then we're missing the whole point. It's not so that we can blame ourselves or anyone, or so that we can just say like, I'm so messed up, I'm so broken. Again, not the point. It's true or it's not true, whichever way you think about it, but it's not the point. It's not going to move you and transform what's not working, right? So if you feel that you are, here's the cost of not knowing how to wind down, and the costs are many and they're different for all of us. But when we can't concentrate, when we can't focus, we're forgetting things all the time. And this is where I was. And it goes from I'm spaced out and I walk into traffic holding my baby on my back, or I bump into things all the time. On the smaller end, I'm bruised from head to toe because I'm just bumping into things all the time. I have no connection to my body and to the present moment. On the larger scale, my kid has an empty shell for a mom. She's not able to ground to herself because she can't ground to me. And she has no model for what being present and connected and here now actually looks like and feels like, because they're getting that from us. There's nowhere else for them to get it from but their parents. So this is a cost to our health, but it's a critical cost to our kids and the relationships that we create with them. There's an interview I gave in this group a really long time ago with a dear friend who went through Awaken Motherhood, my program, who's asking me about my personal experience and how I got here and created this work I do with mothers that's deeply transformational for the whole family. And she's asking me, where it came from. And I'm explaining a really pivotal moment where my daughter, who was in kindergarten at the time when I was going through this period that I'm telling you about, where I was a walking empty shell of sacrifice and martyrdom. And so much of it was about love. I was doing it because of love, and it was boundaryless and it was harmful. It was harmful to me and it wasn't helping my family. There was a better way, but I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it because I was stuck in how hard it was and how hard it had to be. And it took some people saying some very direct things that I thank God for. I thank God for every one of those friends and loved ones who said the hard words to me to say, you have to stop. You have to make a big change. There was a lot of those moments leading up to me getting a lot of help and support for myself and investing in me. But the biggest one was the day that my older child drew a family portrait. And I'm someone who knows a lot about kids' drawings and art and interpreting them as a child therapist for years. And when I saw the way that she drew everyone in the family in contrast to how she drew me, that was it. I hit my breaking point. I was just a barely human. I was a disfigured person, feet off the ground, floating in air, just in completely not intact is the best way I can describe it to you. I looked like a monster. And I thought, I'm seeing the way she sees me. And when I saw that, it cracked my heart wide open. And I realized that this is about more than me. This is not about me. This isn't about how hard the struggle is for me and how much I'm giving, which is where we go as moms. And this is totally, it's hard for me to say it because I love you and it feels like some of you are going to hear this in the wrong way. So, but I'm releasing that in the name of just What I do know is for the highest good, to share the deepest learning with you that I've had, which is that that part comes from ego and it is self-serving. And that's a big pill to swallow. When I go, look at all I'm doing, and it feels so hard for me, and I'm struggling for my kids. Struggle is never for another. It isn't for another. There are moments of sacrifice, sure, and we make them, but we can choose to do it from a place of strength, empowerment, and resilience, or we can do it from, I'm just giving. I'm giving because that's what this job entails, and I have to. Right? It's two totally different energies and two totally different places. And we should never be giving to the point of depleting or sacrificing our own life force energy. If we are, it's not for the highest good of us or our kids. Okay. Thanks for your comments. I can see them now. So, what are we talking about? We think we are worried on the surface. This is how it plays out. We think we're worried about taking a break or slowing down because there'll be more work to do later. We are not actually worried about the dishes or the laundry. That isn't the real fear. That's not what it's about. We are worried about failing at all of it. This is the most important job we'll ever have, being a mother, having a family, raising humans, influencing them, teaching them about how to be a person in the world, helping them develop their own ideas of who they are and their values, and helping them discover what their purpose and path is. And some of us are, I don't even know what mine is. How am I going to do that for my kids? It's overwhelming, right? So we're afraid. We're worried about failing at being a mother, at being a bona fide grown-up, about managing everything, about holding the vision of our lives look okay from the outside, about wearing 10 different masks. We're scared of being discovered as a fraud or as a screw up, or we're afraid of not living up to our own potential. Those are the deep soul fears. We're afraid of letting others down. And so many of you that I speak to say, I'm trying not to make the same mistakes that my parents did, just as I am, just as my husband and I are every day. We're trying not to make those mistakes, but there's so much more. There are larger truths to be found, which are so much more about our own purpose and path here. We don't want our kids to be screwed up in the ways that we were or we are. We don't want them to have to go to 10 years of therapy. Think about the cost of that. Just tap into, if that is a worry that runs through you, that someone else is going, your child will have to go to someone else to sort out the difficulties, the challenges of childhood, or the things that that you didn't know, or the areas where you were a mismatch for her in temperament, and that creates fear in you. Then that fear will set up camp. It will be in your life and in your family. It will be in the way you speak to your daughter or son. It will be in your worries that wake you up at night. So it will be a present part of your family constellation. So all of kind of the aspects of this problem that I'm describing create fight or flight mode. And there really is no relax button in fight or flight mode. And most moms who struggle with anxiety or overwhelm will say to me, I'm at least there half the time. I'm at least in building anxiety or worries or self-doubt or kind of spinning like a top and not not connected in and engaged and present, not able to respond to my life or to my kids with love or forgiveness or laughter or silliness. I get serious, I get rigid, I get stuck. and you're going into fight or flight mode just like that. So the truth of why you can't relax isn't because the work will pile up. It isn't because there's too much to do or because there's some higher truth written in stone somewhere, some concrete truth that says moms have it hard or harder than anyone else, or whatever the story is that you've been exposed to and maybe you've bought into. It isn't really because of any of those things. Ask yourself what it really is about for you. Tune in, feel into where it lives in your body, and open to that so that you can have the real story, the real information. The truth about why we can't wind down and relax and slow down is, in a simple way, we can say it as we don't know how. I don't know how. No one ever showed me. No one taught me. I grew up with trauma. I grew up inundated with all of, big problems I didn't know how to solve as a kid. That is pretty standard. What we do about it is what makes us who we are, what makes our families what they are, what we do about where we came from. So how willing we are to receive help and support, which to me is the number one. That's the only way I know of as far as changing and shifting. And those of you who have done that absolutely know that it makes all the difference in the world. You already know that. You can feel that there are things that you can't see about yourself. And there are things that we don't have expertise in. Had to learn a lot from others about how in the world to manage my energy, because when I was so depleted, a huge part of it was that I was losing my energy through all my interactions with others rather than allowing that to strengthen and build me up. So where are you telling yourself stories? What parts of your life, either parenting home, on the home front, in your relationship, in your professional life? Another thing I hear a lot is, I want to do more and be more. I've been a mom for 10 years or for however long, and I want to get back into it, and have seen a lot of clients when they get into, when they move out of anxiety and overwhelm and out of fight or flight, that light comes on. And then we have access to the network or the creative ideas or the job offer or the interview or the inspired idea for a new business. But from being in a state of overwhelm and constant stress, we cannot create that bridge for ourselves to then have what we're wanting. That is a big jump from going from I can't slow down and rest and relax because it creates more stress, to having that vision of beautiful, joyful, connected family, kids who know their worth, I who know my worth and own my value. Do you get that? The piece underneath to heal is the worthiness, is I know that what I have to say matters, and I know that how I feel matters. And I have needs, and that's a good thing. And so I'm going to own that. That's what it sounds like and feels like. And I watch clients get into that space in our work together. It's so beautiful. And you can radiate like that when you get into that space of, I've been putting up with that piece of crap in my life for a long time. And now I suddenly realize I was allowing that. And I don't have to be in that space anymore. I don't have to tolerate. There's something better. There's something better for me. So all of that to say, tune into or call yourself out in 2020. This has come up in all of my work with clients. The message that keeps coming through is like, okay, it's time to call ourselves out. It's time to call yourself out on the BS. It's time to call yourself out on, and you may or may not want to do it to other mothers who say to you, We don't get a day off. Moms don't get a break. But for yourself, at least, call yourself out on that, and then notice where you're making choices that are creating that story, that are buying into that story, and that are feeding into that narrative and giving you back those results. Because then it will be true. It is true. I'm not denying the reality, but we're all creating our day to day. Nobody else is, as you know, as far as I know, for all of us here, no one else is waking us up and giving us our agenda for the day. And these are the choices you'll make. And here's how you're going to think about them. And you're going to stay scared and small about these things. That's in us. And we're not to blame for that. We're not to blame for that. But we do have a choice in whether or not we want to change it. So I love you all so much. And I hope this message comes through with so much love, and that you're able to hear it and receive it in whatever way you need it. We can all learn to relax. I have not met anyone yet who wasn't capable of learning how to rest, no matter how many kids you have at home, no matter how many you homeschool. I have many clients who homeschool a bunch of kids and thrive and are so joyful in those circumstances. And they once were not in that place. So if any of you are hearing and thinking, this is so me, and then you're thinking, oh, I want to be out of this. I want to know what that would sound like and feel like for me to envision being outside of overwhelm, on the other side, where my life really does flow, where I'm in ownership and building actually what I want instead of what I don't want. Then let's talk. Have a chat with me. All you have to do is, I'll drop the link in. All you have to do is find a spot for us to talk. And what I'll help you do is get clear about what's going on that you're not wanting and what you are wanting instead. And then you can make a choice about whether or not I can make a choice about whether or not I can help you. And then you can make a choice about whether or not you really are ready to accept that help. So feel free to do that if you're feeling like you're in the space now. And please do drop in the comments. So tell me when you watch back. Click the like button. Tag a friend in the comment who's in the group that you think this will be beneficial for. And let me know what you heard from this. If any of it was hard to hear, or if anything did resonate with you or inspires you to new action. Let me know and reach out if I can help. Lots of love, conscious mamas. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you soon.